What's up, boy? It's your boy Domuto. We're back with another video. Yes, sir. Ski. I don't know why I did that. Today we're watching Smugstick. What if Gohan got beached early? And this is part 9, the finale right here. So let's get into it, man. It's a long video. How long this video gonna be? Ooh, look, about 40 something minutes. So make sure you get your snacks, your drink, whatever, man, and let's get into it, bro.
Fateful day, Goku and Vegeta answer the call for help from two unknown strangers, Oil and Maki. Goku and Vegeta leave Earth as they're on their way to face the strongest in the universe. But this is not a story we'll focus on today, as this is something only Goku and Vegeta dealt with. Instead, it has been a long time since the battles against Moro, and peace finally returned. But a storm was brewing within Gohan. His attitude had changed following the last battles for Earth. His training had been lacking, and when he did train, he was sloppy at it. Piccolo noticed this whenever he was with Gohan, though he dismissed it. That was until Pan approached him during training one day. Pan says that she noticed her dad acting a little strange. He often locked himself in his study for hours and always seemed tired. What could that be? Her master agrees to check on the Saiyan. That day, Piccolo approached Gohan at his study. Papers sticking out of boxes and dirty clothes filled the room. What the hell was going on here? That's when Gohan reveals that since his last fight, he hasn't been able to use beast mode anymore. It was the price he had to pay in order to stop Moro, the cost of using Kai Matoru. Without his power, he felt lost now. He isn't exactly sure why or how, but the only reason he was able to access it last time was because of that explosive power Vegeta collected. Could it be a mental block? A physical one? He wasn't sure, and he was too tired to think about it anymore. All he had left to do was focus on his work, support his family, and his university research. Kai Matoru, as used by the Grand Kaioshin in the Moro manga, sliced a good portion of his divine power. Similarly, it sliced Gohan's beast power. Gohan's strength had defined him for so long. What was he without it? Piccolo tries to remind him that he's more than just power. He's a father, a protector of Earth, but Gohan is just too tired and even depressed to listen. Gohan looks down at the ground and tells Piccolo that he has a lot to do, so he needs to return to his research. Piccolo is left with that thought in the back of his mind. Mr. Satan,
that's a cool. I like the change in that.
Take care of Pan at
the change in that story
right there. Standing at the door, wondering what that was all about. As they played with
Piccolo
Pan, Pan asked Piccolo if her dad was okay. With the Namekian shrugging, Piccolo started to walk out, but Majin Buu tapped his shoulder. Piccolo cocked an eyebrow. Whether the pink blob won now. But Buu's face changed to that of the Grand Kaioshin. Piccolo perked up, nodding his head at the god. Mr. Satan screamed in shock. What the hell? Who was that? What did he do to Buu? The Grand Kaioshin ignored it for now. I fear I may know what's going on with him, Piccolo. I thought perhaps the fact that he is so much stronger than me would erase the downsides. But
what do you mean, Lord?
The Kai Matoru. It was an amazingly powerful technique to seal Moro away. It took me years upon years to recover from using it. Gohan wasn't left completely useless like I was, but I fear the usage of it left him exhausted, and I am unsure when he will be able to use his full power again. Piccolo stayed quiet. Was there anything he could do? Or was time the only medicine? The Grand Kaioshin suggested that it was probably better to leave him alone for now, and encourage him, as time goes on, to train more. Piccolo nodded at the Kai, as his face changed back into Buu's. Piccolo flew out of the home, as Mr. Satan continued to ask Buu what the hell happened to his face. The camera then pans across the plains of Yansubi Heights, where Piccolo resides. A small home with
how could I never ask Mr. Satan or Buu to pick up Pan?
Uses to meditate. It has been peaceful for some time, ever since the battles against Moro and the squabble Goku and Vegeta had on planet Cereal. Gohan continued to train, though his research kept him a little busy, while Piccolo continues to train Pan. She loves spending time with his uncle, especially since he can show off that scary looking form she loves so much. Things were going well on Earth, but the next enemy was just around the corner. Piccolo shifts his eyes to watch as a blast was sent his way, his cape slightly damaged, barely dodging the attack. Who could this be now? The smoke cleared in front of Piccolo.
I'm pretty sure they're a little stronger too. They should be a little stronger.
Alien? No. Piccolo quickly discarded that idea. He couldn't sense his key. It was an android. The android posed in response to Piccolo's realization. Yes, he was indeed the android. Gamma 2. Piccolo didn't have to wonder for long just who created him, as he wore the insignia of the Red Ribbon Army. We were made with the recent battles your dear Goku and Vegeta had on Earth in mind. Our power rivals theirs. Now submit, Demon King, and surrender to justice.
The biggest mistake that the Red Ribbon Army was holding on to their grudge with Goku. Just because he tore apart their army as a kid doesn't mean he's the strongest nowadays. You made a big mistake by focusing your research on him alone.
Gamma 2 smirked. Oh, is that right? Gamma 2 and Piccolo rushed at each other, arms pulled back. They began to clash overhead, shockwaves sweeping the ground beneath. They seemed on par with each other, but Piccolo hadn't shown off his big guns yet. It was clear something strange was going on. Gamma 2 fired another gunshot at Piccolo, which he took on head-on. The Namekian pushed away the smoke caused by the blast by taking off his cape and revealing his potential unleashed state, which he obtained a long time ago. Gamma 2 whistled at the power increase. Yeah, he was no small fry alright, but you really are strong. It's getting me pumped, but I know you can go even further beyond.
What? How did you?
Did I say that Red Ribbon Army's research was exclusively on Goku? Sorry, I meant focused on the battles you all had on Earth. Gamma 2 gave Piccolo a cocky grin, which made the Namekian very upset. Was he really holding back that much? Fine, Piccolo would have to use his true power, transforming into his orange state. Now that's more like it, Gamma 2 thought. Piccolo appeared before Gamma, making him realize just how fast he was. Piccolo took Gamma by the face and slammed him to the ground. Gamma was surprised, but prepared for this. He fired a blast at Piccolo's face and head-butted him in the chest. Piccolo held onto him and squeezed, swinging him away. Gamma 2 may have underestimated him a bit.
Give up now. What's the Red Ribbon planning?
As if I'd ever tell you. Not that you'd be able to find our secret base anyways.
Secret base?
Gamma 1, shut him up!
Right. Why the haste, sir?
He's saying too much. Piccolo already knows who we are, and he's clearly taking it slow to enjoy the fight. Gamma 1 will force him to end things now.
As Gamma 2 and Piccolo continued to clash, they pushed themselves to punch each other in the face, but stopped dead in their tracks as a flash of light struck Piccolo. The Namekian looked up to see another android? Come on, I had him! You're underestimating him. We need to finish him off now. He knows too much. Gamma 2 rolled his eyes, but got in a battle stance. Piccolo stretched his arms to drag them both down, but Gamma 1 yelled at the other to charge his weapon. As Piccolo dragged them down, they charged their guns and fired at Piccolo in point-blank range. Smoke covered the entire area, with some chuckles coming from Gamma 2 being the only sound. Lame, but looks like we got him. Let's head back. No, we need to find a body first. From behind a tree, Piccolo controls his panting and breaths. He can't win against the both of them. Unlike the Gamma from the films, who were made to only match Goku and Vegeta, these had research from Piccolo and Gohan as well. Individually, they may not be as strong as either of their final forms, but together, they go beyond it. Piccolo realized this too. He can't win alone. Above that, more of them could appear if they don't find where the base is. He needed Gohan. Maybe this is what he needed as well. Piccolo took a deep breath, ripping off his arm and gently placing it on the ground as he scurried away silently without raising his ki. Piccolo heard the voices of Gamma 2 and 1 as he left. Come on, cybernetic brain. If I was a body, where would I be? Gamma 2 then tripped over something as Gamma 1 went to check on him and scold him. But they looked down to realize what they tripped on. Piccolo's arm. Looks like that's all that's left of him. Mission accomplished. Piccolo was sweating bullets as he watched the Gammas disappear into the horizon. He had a plan now, and he'd need Gohan for it. Piccolo focused and regenerated his arm, leaving for Gohan's house. Once there, Piccolo scratched on the window to get Gohan's attention. The squeak made Gohan jump up from his study and open the window. Oh, why was Piccolo here? Did school leave out early? Where's Pan? Piccolo explained everything to Gohan, who seemed a little annoyed by it all. He was in the middle of a breakthrough. Did he have to deal with this now? Piccolo stared at him blankly. This Gohan is more diligent than the one in the original story, so he does want to help. He's just busy. Well, no use crying over it now.
I guess the Super Saiyans will have to wait. Alright, but first I want
Super
to pick up
Saiyan
Pan,
ant.
make sure she's safe. If they knew where to find you, they'd know where to find her.
Gohan insists on taking the car, as to not cause any weird looks or questions from the faculty and kids, which Piccolo hates. The two go on to pick up Pan. At the same time, in the deep dark lair of the Red Ribbon Army, good to see you both managed to defeat the Demon King. Now we have his arm to examine. Dr. Hito? Yeah, it's quite a curious artifact. I would love to integrate what I find into the Gammas.
You mean Cell Max, right?
Yeah, Cell Max. Whatever. I'm working on it. Cell Max was on the verge of being finished. Thanks to Gohan's many ventures, they have been able to collect more data than they otherwise would have. He just needed those finishing touches. Magenta proceeded to line up with his soldiers, instructing them on kidnapping the granddaughter of Mr. Satan, Pan. A pair of soldiers agreed to go on this mission. However, when they get there, the girl isn't at school. The big soldier stepped up to the teacher, asking where the hell she went. Janet merely pointed in a general direction, terrified by the large man. Gohan was driving up front, while Pan sat in the back, while Piccolo rode shotgun. He looked annoyed at having to ride, when suddenly they heard a loud pop, and the car spun out of control, crashing into the side and exploding. The Red Ribbon Army plane
still in the
landed
car?
by it, with the soldiers walking out to investigate. The short one yelled at the tall one. Their instructions were to capture her, not fry her, but flying behind and above
This is
them,
a good movie,
Gohan
though.
held on to Piccolo and Pan, with Piccolo pushing off Gohan slightly. So, the Red Ribbon was going after Pan after all. They descended down and tapped the tall one on the shoulder. He jumped back. Ah, ghosts! Piccolo stared at their communication devices, exploding them. Gohan and Piccolo asked where the Red Ribbon Army base was, but the short one refused to cooperate. The tall one gave in immediately. Gohan thanked them, requesting them to be taken there. But first, Gohan wanted to drop Pan off. Gohan's home may not be safe. They used the Red Ribbon plane to get to Capsule Corp and drop off Pan with Bulma. Pan insisted that she wanted to go with them. Bulma told her that they could have fun here. Pan was adamant, but Gohan kneeled down and told her that this time it was a bit too dangerous for her, that she'd be safe with Bulma. He doesn't want her fighting anyone. She continues to argue until Piccolo looks at her and tells her that they can take care of things. She'll eventually be strong enough to go with them. Pan giggles. He owes her some more training if that's the case. Gohan side-eyed Piccolo. He'd been training her? In the plane, as the soldiers fly them over to the
training
Red
her?
Ribbon base, Gohan asks Piccolo,
Do you think it's a good idea to be training her? You started even younger. I didn't have a choice. We live in times of peace. Why not let her have a childhood and be a normal girl? You think I'm doing it for my own health? It was her idea. She has your potential and Goku's fire inside of her, and Videl's tenacity. You'd know if you were paying attention to your family.
Gohan gets angry at first, a spark of electricity jolting around him, but he calms down quickly. Piccolo notices this and wonders if perhaps he just needs that push to get his power back. Gohan sighs and tells Piccolo that he recognizes he should be the one leading his daughter, but he just can't as of late. Piccolo places a hand on his shoulder, telling him that they'll get him back there. At the Red Ribbon base, Piccolo's arm was being analyzed, and Dr. Hedo discovers something surprising. The demon's cells could regenerate. It was fascinating. Whoa, regenerate? You mean...
Piccolo may still be out there.
Hedo begins to implement the regeneration capabilities into Cell Max, while Magenta yelled at the Gammas and told them to go out there. As the Gammas ran out, they heard something, an explosion from high above. They looked down from the balcony along with Magenta, only to see Gohan gently setting two soldiers down on the ground, standing tall next to Piccolo. Gamma 2 cursed. So, he was still around. The Gammas jumped down with a loud, metallic thud. The two sides stared each other down. Gohan hadn't had to fight an android in a long time. It was a little nostalgic, but no time for that. Gohan yelled out into his ultimate form, while Piccolo huffed into his own potential awakened state. Gamma 1 asked Piccolo why not use Orange right away, and Piccolo said that this should be enough for now. They didn't think he would go all out on their first fight, right? Gamma 2 zooms to Gohan, while Gamma 1 and Piccolo duke it out. Gamma 1 realized that Piccolo was not bluffing. This 1v1 was a lot tougher than their last match. Even so, he could still win. Gamma 2 and Gohan have a good fight, as Gohan grabs 2 by the cape and throws him to the side, followed by a powerful Kamehameha. The Gamma recovers and activates his android barrier, deflecting the blast to the floor, but Gohan was relentless. As the Kamehameha dissipated, he rushed down to the Gamma, punching him across the face.
Fuck that
Gamma
nigga
2 responded by kneeing him in the stomach and kicking him to the ground. The android rushed towards Gohan, but he jumped, headbutting him in midair and grabbing him by the neck and the chest, landing a mighty suplex on the floor. Gohan panted.
That nigga did do a
already
suplex.
a little winded. Seriously? He was even upset at himself. What's worse, Gamma 2 stood back up for more. Gohan rolled his eyes and got back into his defensive position. Meanwhile, back at Capsule Corp, Pan continued to annoy Bulma as she tried to do her makeup. Pan wasn't interested. It wasn't until Krillin came around asking about the Red Ribbon Army where she finally gave in. She yelled out, "Fine!" She saw the same look in her eyes that Goku had when he was a boy long ago. There was no use trying to convince her. Bulma wagered that Pan would likely go off on her own anyways. At least this way she could keep an eye on the girl. They could go see her dad, but they'll have to get some friends first. Back at the Red Pharmaceutical HQ, the battle rages on. Even with Gohan's disadvantage, he pressed on. He knew he had to win. Piccolo and Gamma 1 fought as Piccolo used telekinesis to throw chunks of buildings at him. Gamma 1 proclaimed that he'd save the world from them. Piccolo dodged the attacks, replying that he isn't the bad guy here. Together, Gohan and Piccolo rose up to the sky, firing a Kamehameha and a special beam cannon at the two. The androids were actually hit, their clothes damaged but still standing. That wasn't all they had up their sleeve, was it? Appearing down in front of them and punching them away. While recovering, Piccolo rushed in to finish them off, but Gohan stopped him.
Wait, Piccolo, if they're anything like 17 and 18, maybe they aren't bad guys. Maybe they're just being manipulated.
Piccolo lifted an eyebrow, turning to them and saying,
You two, why do you think we're bad guys?
Because you're the Demon King Piccolo, and we've seen you at Capsule Corp. You're in cahoots with them.
We've saved the world many times. Whatever Zero has told you is wrong.
Jiro, you think he's back? We were built by Dr. Hedo under the command of Magenta. We'll stop you evildoers, here and now. Gohan heard yelling from the stairs, Magenta telling the Gammas to finish them off as he tried to get away. So that was it, huh? They wouldn't be convinced easily. The Gammas got back up and continued the fight, but Magenta was getting upset. He turned to Hedo, asking about Cell Max. Hedo said that he was almost ready to go, although the regeneration nanomachines were quite yet. This regeneration would be different from Cells, as it isn't directly from Cell Max himself, but nanomachines in and on him. Magenta yelled at Hedo to stop with the nerd talk and wake up Cell Max already. As the androids prepared to fight once more, a Capsule Corp ship landed nearby. With Bulma, Pan, Krillin, 18, Goten, and Trunks, Magenta cursed. More of them, huh? He commanded the Red Ribbon soldiers to attack, with Carmine leading them. Instantly, the Z-Fighters rushed in to fight. Gohan cursed at Bulma under his breath. Why had she brought Pan here? Surely, she saw Goku within her just like Piccolo does, but the Z-Fighters were taking quick care of the Red Ribbon soldiers. But some of them stopped themselves from attacking Pan. Even Goten and Trunks, they were just kids. Magenta yelled at them to stop hesitating. They're evil. Carmine pushed one of the soldiers aside as he took his gun and fired at Pan. What the hell are you doing? Goten and Trunks stopped the bullets from hitting Pan, but Carmine was relentless. Gamma 1 pushed Piccolo away and grabbed Carmine by the collar shirt, yelling at him for having done that. Upset at this reaction, Magenta yells at Hedo to make them let Carmine go and attack. I can't let them do that. I can't have them attacking a preschooler. Magenta stepped in front of Hedo and began running to the Cell Max location. Hedo followed close behind. Gamma 1 knocked out Carmine and apologized to Pan, who giggled at him. Gamma 1 ordered Gamma 2 to stop, with Gohan thanking Dende as he was feeling pretty tired from all the fighting. Finally, it looked like they were coming to their senses. Then there was nothing but silence. Goten and Trunks were instantly alarmed. Something was approaching. Piccolo looked surprised at Gohan as he froze in place. That energy he felt awakening. Could it be? As 1,000 thoughts rushed through his head, a gigantic figure made its presence known, showing up at the scene. Goku and Vegeta, who were training at Beerus' planet, stopped their fight. They were paralyzed, feeling a monstrous energy on Earth. The Gammons instantly knew what that was, and Piccolo couldn't believe it either. The gigantic figure started to wipe every warrior on sight. A giant tail swiping through the battlefield.
Not perfect.
Goten, Trunks, and even the Gammas, who were in the middle, got caught in the crossfire. But Gohan just stood there, the death and destruction around him, doing nothing, watching, feeling weak and useless. He felt like a kid again. Freed. The only Soul Warrior doing nothing, just like when the Saiyans arrived for the first time. He could remember the yells of his master Piccolo screaming at him to do something. He remembered it all too well.
Go on!
It wasn't his memories. Piccolo screamed at him that he should do something, and he wasn't the only one asking him. As Pan screamed at him too, asking for her dad to save her. Gohan's eyes focused in. Pan was being grabbed by the giant figure. She screamed at the monster to let her go, as the monster said,
No need to worry, child. I am here to save you from these evildoers.
This shook Gohan to his core, taking him out of a trance. He wasn't a child anymore. He was a father. Gohan instantly burst into his beast state. It was instinct, as he hurled himself into the fight. But he didn't care at all, jumping into the sky and kicking the Goliath away as he grabbed his daughter and returned her to the ground safely. He alerted the group to stay back, once again propelling himself towards the monster. Goten celebrated his brother was back, but Piccolo had his doubts. He felt his power. Alright, looks like Gohan's back in action.
No, wait. This isn't a fraction of his power. Something's wrong.
Could they even win this time? Gohan approached the colossal being. He was red.
Not a
He was
fraction of
giant,
it.
but he was definitely Cell. No doubt about it whatsoever.
I wasn't expecting to see you this soon. Instead of running away, you're coming right to me. Son Gohan, isn't it?
Gohan snapped out of it. Confused by the remark, he cautiously nodded. Cell, I don't know when or how you came back, but I won't be as playful as I was last time. No one touches my daughter.
Ah, but you're wrong, Son Gohan. I'm not the Cell you once knew, and I won't let history repeat itself. I promise you and all your minions won't cause any more.
Oh shit.
Wait, what?
Gohan couldn't even think of a proper response, as a punch the size of a house quickly crushed his entire body. This monster wasn't just big, he was fast. Gohan quickly started to fly around Cell, looking for an opening, but it was hard to evade his attacks. His arms were like giant, light-speed buildings. Gohan rushed towards his eyes, striking him with his leg, but would it be enough? As the giant roared, he slapped away Gohan like a mosquito, but the Saiyan's resolve didn't waver, as he made a giant beast claw, slicing through Cell Max's arm, while the android covered his eye, but he wasn't able to even penetrate through the skeleton. He didn't even make him bleed. Damn, he was tough. Cell Max quickly uncovered his eye, and he launched 2 crimson beams from it. To him, they were just laser eyes, but to Gohan, they were giant ki waves. Gohan was sliding through them, charging Amsenko, finally getting close and launching it towards Cell's face, with him barely able to dodge it. The giant threw a kick to Gohan, who saw this as an opportunity to rush towards his other leg, grabbing him with all his strength, while gathering power and pushing it, throwing Cell off balance and making him crash to the ground. The
Come on,
great
Gohan.
earthquake was felt in the arena, and as Gohan focused in, he was caught by surprise by the giant wrecking ball crashing onto him. It was Cell Max's tail. Gohan panted, but this might be the opportunity he needed. As he sliced Cell Max's giant tail with another colossal ki claw, this time it actually worked. Gohan grabbed the wrecking ball with both arms, ignoring the pain, launching it at his head. It landed, smashing his face, leaving Cell Max with a broken nose. Both warriors recomposed themselves, and a new phase of the fight began. But to Gohan's surprise, Cell Max's nose simply regenerated, as did his tail, no doubt because of Piccolo's regeneration.
I can see that fighting like this is useless.
To Gohan's shock, Cell started to become smaller, almost as if he pulled the reverse of the Namekian gigantification. But he retained all the strength he had as a giant, more focused and contained in that smaller body. This would be very dangerous. It didn't help that while Gohan had already most of his body torn apart, Cell just had a few marks and scratches on his face. Both rushed at each other, clashing fists, but this was the first warning sign, as Gohan felt an intense pain on his knuckles. Gohan used his other arm to slash at Cell with his ki claws, but this wasn't going as expected. Cell blasted Gohan away, to which the half Saiyan spun around the blast and threw a beast axe at Cell. To the Saiyan's surprise, Cell Max caught the axe and crushed it in his hand. Gohan couldn't believe his eyes. As he recomposed himself, Gohan took the opportunity, and in the millisecond that Cell had his arm stretched, the beast appeared above Cell's head with another beast axe, aiming to the head crystal. He struck the landing as Gohan smirked, but his expression turned into frustration and fear as the beast axe fell on the ground, leaving a single scratch on Cell's crystal. Nothing else. Cell Max kicked Gohan so hard on the chest that he dropped back into base. As the bio-android approached him, the Gammas both appeared in front of him, arms wide open to protect Gohan. They yelled at Cell to stop, proclaiming that Gohan isn't the villain here, that the Red Ribbon Army has been using them for their own selfish desires. They tried to kidnap a kid. Cell Max looks at the ground, with Gamma 2 happy, as it seems they have gotten through to him.
So it's true, isn't it?
Yeah. See, I knew we could.
It's true that you've also been brainwashed. Well then, I will make sure your parts are reused effectively.
Hold on, I'm all for recycling, but Cell Max didn't listen. Rushing forward, his arms out, dragging both Gammas through the building by their neck. Gohan wiped some blood from his chin. Could he win? You remember the last
fuck Piccolo at, nigga?
Cell and his children defeating his friend 16's death? This time, he doubted there would be any new form to obtain. Was this really his peak? Gohan then heard the sound of teleportation, spinning on his heel to see Goku, Vegeta, and Broly.
Stand aside, Gohan. I'll take it from here. Dad, you can't. He's too... Yeah, I can tell. He's crazy strong. Maybe we can defeat him together, but I'm just as excited as I am scared. My body's rushing with adrenaline. I gotta know how it is to fight him alone. Dad, wait!
Goku didn't wait. He rushed at Cell Max, blinded with excitement. Gohan recomposed himself, trying to get near the fight zone, but Vegeta stood in the way, telling him to rest, while Broly helped him up. Goku and Cell clashed, with Goku avoiding most of the hits with his Ultra Instinct. It wasn't until the Bio-Android started to raise his power level that Goku was forced to leave his attacks and go on the full defensive. Unable to counterattack, Vegeta started to walk towards the battleground. Just like they did with Gas some time ago, it seems like they would have to team up. Goku yells at Vegeta to back off, that Cell Max was beyond his league, but Vegeta just smirked. He looked at Gohan in the eye and said no words, as a dark, somber aura started to engulf him. The feeling of dread invaded Gohan's
sure,
body.
Ultra Ego. I can't wait to see that animated, man. I'm saying every video, every time I see Ultra Ego.
Ultra Ego, finally rivaling Goku and Gohan. But would it be enough to defeat Cell? Broly placed Gohan against the wall to rest, as he too joined the fight. Cell laughed as he saw all three faded Saiyans before him. This was going to be fun. So, they had allied themselves with the destructive Broly, huh? Truly, they were the worst of villains. Broly started to increase his energy drastically, until his aura burst, blinding everyone. With golden hair and eyes, Broly had unleashed his wrathful Super Saiyan form. This wasn't his full power, but it was his strongest form before he started to lose consciousness.
Give up now, Cell. You can't beat us all at once.
You sinister three, no matter how many you are, by the end of the day, my hammer of justice shall stomp you all.
Wait, what?
Cell Max rushed towards the warriors as Goku evaded the incoming attacks. Broly and Vegeta unleashed a beam towards Cell Max. The android stopped his course, turned around and tanked the combined beam. As the dust settled, only a few scratches could be seen on his bio armor. The four warriors collided in the sky in a show of shockwaves and lights.
Damn.
It was truly something impressive, but the Saiyans didn't seem to have the upper hand, as Cell tanked the hits and delivered powerful attacks. Gohan, limping, started walking towards the battleground, but Piccolo stopped him, saying that he shouldn't keep fighting.
Let me do this, Piccolo. I have to fight with them.
You've got no power left. You can't fight him without that white-haired state.
Goten and Trunks listened in, looked at each other, and nodded. Goten chimed in into the conversation by saying that Bulma's got the Dragon Balls at home. The two of them can go get them and use them to wish for Gohan's power to be restored. Gohan thought about it for a second, unsure if it would work, but he agreed it was their best option, even if he did only get a portion of his power back. The two kids cheered, running back and grabbing Bulma along the way, as she yelled that they weren't about to take her wishes, right? Goten asked Trunks why she brought her, and Trunks explained that his mom is the only one that knows where she hides the Dragon Balls. The battle continued to ramp up, as Gohan powerlessly held onto Pan by Krillin's side. The bald man commented on how it was incredible where Goku and Vegeta were at now, that no one could get stronger than them. If anyone can beat Cell Max, it's them. Gohan sighed. Yeah, he hoped so, but part of him wished it could have been him to do it. He looked down at Pan. He wanted her to see him as her hero, thinking back to how she goes on and on about Grandpa Goku and Uncle Piccolo. Meanwhile, at Capsule Corp, Goten and Trunks summoned the Eternal Dragon, quickly explaining the wish. Shenron's eyes flashed red, and in the battlefield, Gohan felt an incredible surge of energy, his white aura sparking up once more, stronger than ever before. Perhaps there was still a chance. Shenron asked what the next wish was, but the kids said they didn't have time for this, jumping up to the sky and telling Bulma that she can have the rest. Bulma was left awkwardly alone with Shenron until she finally thought of a wish, firming up her butt. Gohan burst towards Cell Max, side by side with the other three older Saiyans. Goku was glad to see Gohan back in action, but Cell Max was undisturbed. He continued to clamor about how he will be the one to take down these villains, but Gohan chuckled.
You still haven't gotten it through your head, have you? We're not the bad guys here.
I can see through your lies, especially in that form. You clearly look evil.
Huh? Me? Look at yourself in the mirror, and don't forget who was trying to kidnap whose daughter.
The explosive match picked back up, with Gohan and Cell clashing fists, while Goku and Vegeta charged a Kamehameha and a Galick Gun from behind. Gohan and Cell punched caused an explosion, and in the confusion, Cell was grabbed by Broly and slammed down to the ground. Gamma 1 and 2 formed a cross that slides down, breaking Cell Max's guard as soon as he hit the ground. This meant Max didn't have the chance to avoid the twin blasts from Goku and Vegeta.
Yes, sir.
What he did do was activate his android barrier in the nick of time as he got back up. But as Cell laughed, he felt something touch his back.
Gotcha!
Gohan's Masenko at point-blank range could have defeated nearly everyone else easily, and it looked like it had for a moment. Cell Max was left in a gross, twitching state, but his regeneration made sure he wasn't out of the battle for long. The team panted. They were sure that combo could have worked. Cell Max snapped his finger with a smile.
Teamwork like that certainly is a hero's best trait. If only you were heroes.
Gohan facepalmed. It seemed like their battle was never ending. Magenta asks Dr. Hedo why Cell Max doesn't just kill them on the spot, but Hedo replies that doing so wouldn't be very heroic. Cell Max will fight them until they can't keep going and then arrest them. This pisses off Magenta. As Piccolo continues to charge his most powerful Makan Kozap, however, he overhears the discussion between the scientists and the Red Revan commander. Cell really did think himself as a hero, huh? Just like the Gammas. But Piccolo fears that there's no other option for now. Piccolo watches carefully for an opening as he meets eyes with Goku. They both knew what needed to be done here. Piccolo cocks an eyebrow, in a way of saying that he promises not to kill him this time. Goku tells the Gammas to distract Cell Max, as Vegeta and Goku zoom towards him. The Gammas fire their blasters at the monster, but Cell Max was extremely fast, firing back at such a rate that his ate through the Gammas, forcing Broly and Gohan to grab them out of the way. But as Cell Max got ready for Goku and Vegeta's attack, Goku disappeared. Vegeta was still in front of him, so Cell Max had no choice but to protect himself against the prince. But Goku grabbed onto Cell Max from behind in a full Nelson. Nowhere to run. Cell Max was finally feeling the pressure as Vegeta punched him in the stomach, smirked, and jumped out of the way. Cell Max's eyes focused on the bright light in the horizon. Piccolo fired his Makan Kozapo. Goku knew better than to die, ducking his head as he knew Piccolo was aiming for the crown. But Goku barely manages to dodge with his Ultra Instinct the immense amount of piercing, violent energy that stemmed from Cell Max's spots. That could have really hurt him. Goku looked back to see that not only had Cell Max gotten rid of him, but he had turned just in time as to only have his arm blown away. Immediately, it regenerated as if wires grew out.
You thought that would work? Nano machine, son!
Gohan cursed as he started towards Cell Max as well when he heard someone yell out Piccolo's name, Pan. Goku realized that the attack coming from Cell spots wasn't meant for him. It was aimed at Piccolo. The Namekian now laid on the floor, quickly losing consciousness. Pan kneeled by him, hugging his arm and yelling for help. Gohan's breath left him for a second. He didn't know what to do. Watching Cell Max rush forward at incredible speed, Gohan spun to try and stop him when he felt something incredible. This power was extremely similar to a power he felt as a child, the power of anger, a desire to protect others. As Cell Max reached Piccolo, he told Pan to get out of there. Pan took a step before Cell Max. The ground beneath her cracked slightly, spreading her arms open before her uncle. Cell Max he was about to land on Piccolo as he tells Pan to move. This isn't a fight for a child. She'll be safe soon, and the demon will be gone. But Pan was unmoved, tears streaming down her face as her neck snapped up to look up at Cell Max. A sparkle of ki shone around her just for a split second before it disappeared, but her eyes showed the anger and the determination of every warrior that came before her. She said that she won't let him touch Mr. Piccolo. Cell Max can't believe these villains have been brainwashed by an innocent little girl. They have stooped to a new low. But Pan says that this isn't a way a hero would act. Piccolo, her dad, her granddad, they are the most heroic people she knows. Goku laughs at Vegeta not being mentioned, but quickly shakes himself out of that and yells at Pan to get out of there. Android 18 jumps into action, attempting to grab the girl out of there, but the second she touches her shoulder, she's shocked by electricity. She stops herself as she hears the two talk. Cell Max says that it's no use. No one there has the power to defeat him. He will bring justice to the world. Pan says that a hero isn't one with the most power. It's anyone who tries to help someone a little bit each day, even if she is weak right now. She will defend her friends. Pan jumped up, throwing a punch at Cell Max, while at the same time, Gamma 1 fired his blaster at him, while Android 18 grabbed Pan, and Broly got Piccolo out of there. Pan looked at her hand in confusion, thinking that the explosion from Gamma 1's blaster was caused by her punch. Gammas were severely hurt. and nearly out of energy. They couldn't fight for much longer, but they refused to settle down, especially after hearing Pan talk. Those same words resounded in Gohan's mind. Cell really did think himself as the hero. Maybe they can still win in a different way. Goten and Trunks finally arrived back as them two, Vegeta, Broly, and the Gammas rushed back to fight Cell Max. Goku was going to join them when Gohan grabbed his arm.
I'll be right back. Huh? You can't leave now. Studying can wait. No, Dad, trust me. I have an idea. But with you at your full power again, we have a real chance to beat Dad. Trust me.
Goku looked at the determination in Gohan's eyes.
Yeah, what the fuck he about to do?
The younger Saiyan smiled, shooting his guns
What
up,
the fuck
grabbing
kind
Pan
of
and Piccolo, and getting out of there. Goku takes a deep breath, thinking to himself how proud he is of Gohan as a blue light stems away from him, a key avatar covering him. Cell Max sees this and laughs. He could do that too. His body began to grow again, pushing his enemies away once more. Goku and Cell Max clash, wrestling each other. This energy was nothing Cell Max was prepared for, but he did.
This is
love it.
Susano.
As they did this, from behind, Vegeta told Broly to throw him. The bigger Saiyan didn't question it, as Broly grabbed him and chucked him to the back of Cell Max's head like a spear. Vegeta flashed into Ultra Ego once more, his hands full of a twin burst cannon. As he reached the head crystal, he unleashed it. This time, it actually caused a crack on it, but Cell Max swung his tail immediately, hitting Vegeta and slamming him onto the floor, breaking some bones. The kids stopped the tail from hitting him again by catching it and slowing it down, but they too were thrown about. Krillin and Android 18 did what they could to support the rest, but slowly their numbers were falling. Though it seemed Goku was overpowering Cell Max, the android fired a mouth beam that forced Goku back onto the defensive. It couldn't reach Goku within. Gohan arrived at his home, having left Piccolo with Dende to heal him. A chest wound like that couldn't be easily fixed. Pan ran to her mother, hugging her tightly. Videl asked what the hell was going on, but Gohan didn't answer that question. Instead, he asked one of his own.
Honey, where is my super suit?
As Broly watches Goku slowly losing ground, he realizes he
Oh
needs
my
to do
God.
something drastic. This could be dangerous, but he needed to control his full power state, just like Whis and the others had been trying to help him do. He begins to power up, his muscles bulging up even more. This makes Cell Max shift his eyes to him for a moment. Broly roared, flying up to the avatar's face and firing his own mouth beam at Cell, but Broly was losing control. Vegeta and the rest could tell. Broly's thoughts were filled with uncontrollable darkness and rage. Vegeta, in this damaged state, yells at Broly to calm down, that they can't afford to have another battle even if they do defeat Cell Max. Goten and Trunks cheered him on. Goku, whose energy was coming to an end, approached Broly within the avatar as it disappeared. He placed a hand on Broly's shoulder, using him as support, but also telling him that he can do this, that he can control it. Broly was trying to find that light in the darkness, to control his power, the serenity he needed. He thought of his newfound family of Shilai, Lemon, Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, and the others, and how much things have changed since then, and how he wishes to protect them. But then, Cell Max clapped his hands, crushing Broly and Goku within them. The impact was such that it caused a shockwave around the area, deafening the hero. Cell Max cocked an eyebrow as his hands began to move away from each other, a green aura sparking up from within, in a circle. Within it, Broly and Goku helped support each other up. Broly's aura was forcing Cell Max's hands away from each other, but this time, Cell Max noticed Broly had his pupils. Broly roared once more, finally snapping. This made Cell Max take a step back as Broly instantly flew up to his face and exploded his aura. Cell Max was sent flying back into the side of the Red Ribbon Army building.
Yes,
Cell
sir.
Max began to create a
Come on,
giant
Broly.
energy sphere, which quickly grew in size and suddenly became small again. That condensed energy twitching in his hand. Gamma 2 yelled out that if they are not going to stop him, then he will. It was a fun ride, but this is the only way he sees Earth surviving. Gamma 1 called him a fool, that he can't do this. There has to be another way. Broly and Goku began to charge a Kamehameha and an Omega Blaster together as Vegeta joined them, even though he was low in power. Gamma 2 rose up to the sky. He was going to sacrifice himself, but as they were getting ready to fire and Cell Max unleashed his energy sphere, they all saw a flash of red appear before them, stopping the sphere before they could even fire the blasts. A cape swinging in the wind, and a familiar key presence,
Great
more confident
Sandman.
than ever before. They all turned to look at him. Even Gamma 2 stopped himself.
No need for anyone to die, because I am here!
Dr. Hedo perked up when he heard that voice. Even Cell Max did. Gamma 1 and 2 instantly joined Broly, Vegeta, and Goku, while Goten, Trunks, Android 18, and Krillin rose up to support with their own blasts. Altogether, no matter how weak they were, from the smallest power level to the strongest being, they all fired their blast, pushing back the key sphere, forcing it up to the sky as it exploded in the atmosphere. Cell Max could finally see the being behind those words. Gamma 1 and 2 were left speechless. Vegeta's face looked a little more disgusted, while Broly lifted an eyebrow and Goku smiled proudly. So, he finally returned.
You! It can't be! You're...
The Great Saiyaman?
That's right! And I won't let any more harm come to this world, especially not from my fellow heroes! Gamma 1, Gamma 2! Care to join me?
Cell Max and Dr. Hedo were in complete disbelief. If the Great Saiyaman was with them, they couldn't possibly be evil, could they? That little girl was almost kidnapped. The way Magenta had been acting, even the Gammas turned. Slowly, these things have been building up in both Dr. Hedo and Cell Max's head. Perhaps they were in the wrong. Yeah, there was no doubt about it now. Cell Max turned to a small size as he zoomed forward, meeting the Great Saiyaman at his stature, staring at his eyes through the visor. Maybe that guy from before was right. If he looked at himself in the mirror, he too looked like the bad guy. But he had to keep fighting, right? No matter who it was. They were in the wrong.
What is he doing? Why isn't he attacking?
Evil must be punished. In the name of justice, we will defeat you.
That's what we do. We're superheroes!
That's because...
Let's go. This is it.
Because they're superheroes. We did it! The Great Saiyaman spun on his heel and smiled at Cell Max. The android laid on his back, watching as the Saiyaman reached his hand out to him. Though he had his doubts, he couldn't help but admire the hope he brought to the others around him.
We don't have to fight anymore. The Red Ribbon was the real army. We are on the same team.
But they're going to try and destroy the world. We have to stop them.
Cell Max, listen to him. Magenta's been lying to us.
What the hell are you doing?
Magenta grabbed a pistol and fired at Dr. Hedo, but none of the bullets reached him. Not that they would have hurt him anyways, but they were all stopped by Cell Max himself. Behind him, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, as well as the Great Saiyaman, stood tall. Magenta couldn't believe it. Cell Max looked back one last time
That's
at
a
Dr.
crazy
Hedo to
ending.
make sure that he was in the right, but he nodded, looking extremely happy to see the Great Saiyaman. Magenta was apprehended. His reign of terror stopped. As things calmed down, they regrouped and recuperated. Cell Max, Hedo, and the Gammas approached the Great Saiyaman. Hey, Mr. Saiyaman, I wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened, and can you sign my movie poster?
Ha! Sure thing. I'm glad you all came to your senses. You were manipulated. I'm just glad it didn't get worse.
If I may ask, why can you vouch for them?
There are many dangers that have come to Earth which the public knows nothing about. But us, we were there for it all.
The Great Saiyaman removed his helmet, revealing the Saiyan beneath, the man they were trying to kill just an hour ago, Son Gohan. All their jaws hit the floor. Gohan smiled, looking up to the sky as he heard the sound of a ship. Pan, Videl, and Bulma had arrived to pick them up after getting a call from Vegeta that the battles had finally ended. Piccolo rode on top of the plane with a proud smile. Goku picked up Pan as they walked alongside Videl, Goten, and Piccolo to Gohan. The Son family hugged, with Goku bringing Piccolo in for the hug as well. It was all over. They were safe. They made friends along the way, but above all, Gohan felt okay again, out of the rut he had been in. This adventure began because of Gohan losing his beastly power in order to save the universe. Now it had returned to him, but that was not the power he needed to defeat the villain. It was his compassion and the hope he brought others. Something Pan had taught him once more. He was exhausted. Gohan placed his Saiyaman helmet on Dr. Hedo's head, telling him to keep it, as he dug through his pocket and got out a bandana and a set of sunglasses. Hedo was geeking out. The Hedo androids and the doctor himself were invited to Capsule Corp for repairs and a temporary living as they figured out a job for them. And so, a few months passed on by. We find ourselves at Mr. Satan's home, where a press conference is being held. Hedo, the Gammas, Cell Max, the Great Saiyaman 2, the Great Saiyaman X1 and X2 stand tall, but nervously behind mics. Mr. Satan continues to promise the journalists that they will begin soon. Hedo had wanted to repay the world for what he did, and truly use his intelligence for good. Alongside Mr. Satan's help, he's able to do just that. Goten and Trunks don't really care for this, but they're at least getting paid, so maybe they can finally take out some girls. But one person in particular is missing. Inside the home, Gohan stares at his new Great Saiyaman helmet designed by Bulma and Hedo. He could see himself in the reflection. He couldn't believe so much had happened ever since he'd obtained that destined form. How much he'd grown. How he wouldn't be here without his friends and his family. He wasn't sure if he was ready to go out there though. He was still nervous about how his power had been affected since the battles against Moro. He could hear Mr. Satan explaining to the public how they wanted to show the world that there was nothing they couldn't overcome, thus transforming their old enemy Cell into their greatest ally. But he was clearly buying time until he stepped out. Gohan then felt something tap his shoulder. He turned his face to look at the smiling face of Pan. She giggled to her dad. What was he still doing here? Gohan smiled back at her and looked back down to the helmet. This is what it was all for. What he had used that beast form for. Videl, Pan, Goku, Goten, Vegeta, Broly, Majin Buu, and the Grand Kai. But above all, of course, Mr. Piccolo. He was ready to give the rest of the world the same hope they all give him. Gohan stood up, putting his helmet on.
You ready?
Pan enthusiastically nodded as she clicked her wristwatch, causing a Great Saiyaman suit to
Boy.
appear over, a combination between Gohan and Videl's. The Great Saiyamans zoom forward in front of the crowd, with Pan on his shoulders, waving to everyone in the audience. Videl smiles in relief.
Hello everyone, the Great Saiyaman here. Mr. Satan has been gracious enough to give us a chance at something great, something much bigger than us. I haven't been around much, and others have taken the role of hero the world often needs. Well, with this team, we will make sure that the hero is never missing. From powerful androids, enemies turned good, and the power of youth. Because we often need hope, because sometimes there are foes who cannot be reasoned with. We will fight on the side of justice, wielding that hope as a weapon. I promise you all, we will protect the animals, the plants, and all life on the planet.
Looked at his fist one final time, balling it up as he remembered all that has been lost, but finally letting go. Relaxing his hand and smiling, he turned to present everyone.
I present to you Gamma 1, 2, and 3 Cell Max, the Great Saiyaman 2, the Great Saiyaman X 1 and 2, and finally the Great Saiyaman Z.
The crowd erupted in claps and cheers. In the back, Gohan met eyes with his father, who smiled at him. He was happy to see him happy. Gohan was doing something he could never do, but he was proud to see him do it. Chi-Chi by his side cried, worried about her babies, while Piccolo stood on the streetlight, his arms crossed, nodding at his student. Even Vegeta, Bra, and Bulma were in attendance for Trunks, even if Vegeta had to be dragged there. Broly was there too, in his full power state, which he had control over now. Even so, people were scared to be around him. He was ginormous.
What the fuck? He in the full power? He got pumped?
Looked back down to smile at Pan.
Heroes aren't needed only when the day of fate finally comes. Heroes are needed every day. But if an enemy arrives to threaten the peace we hold dear, then they better be ready. We will be. The beast will be.
The end.
That was a good ending. That was a good chapter. That was a good ending. I like shit. I like shit. It was different. I wasn't expecting all that difference, man. What I like about Smugstick stories, man, you never know what direction he gonna go. And this was a long ass fucking video, fucking Smugstick, goddamn. But anyway, man, I love that. If you like my reactions, please like, comment, subscribe, and shout out to Gohan, Team Gohan, and peace.